My name is Bhatia, and this is the class of BHIC 133. We are going to cover in this class our unit 14 and unit 15. As we have discussed earlier about unit 12 and unit 13, because about Delhi Sultanate period and Mughal period. We have discussed a lot about Mughal period and the Delhi Sultanate period because uh, how they changed themselves and how the Turkish invade in India and how they use the different type of things while coming in India and after coming in India. Then what were the changes they were facing here when they entered into India? Just like technology, if we are talking about technology, if we are talking about craft production, we are talking about social change, just like how they changed their technology after coming in India and how Indians learn about that technology from that Turkish, from that Delhi Sultanate period and the Mughals also, and how they produce their craft things and how they change their social life. Because if a person having some change in their life, then they learn the new things from their changes and they accept, they adopt their changes in their worldly life, in their daily life. Yes, in unit 14 we are going to cover our technology changes, craft production, social change in their life at the time of Delhi Sultanate, and now we are going to cover agriculture technology. And in agriculture technology, earlier they were using hoeing. They were using hoe. With the help of hoe, they were using agricultural technology for plugging their land. But nowadays, after Turkish invasion into India, they are starting to use about plug. In the Iron Age, identified with the Aryans, means with the advent of Aryans, when Indus Valley civilization, after Indus Valley civilization, the Aryans invaded India, Aryans entered into India. And with the Aryan settlement in the Gangetic Plain, contributed to the development of the plug in the sense that while the entire frame earlier was of timber, plug shear, counter now was of iron. All things are with the help of iron. Now you can see in this picture what you are looking at in this picture. Then with the help of plug, a farmer is using plug in irrigating their, in sowing, harvesting their fields. How the farmer using plug with the help of two oxen. With the help of two oxen, he was plugging the land at that time. Then in the activities of agriculture at that time, you can see in this picture. I think everything is described in this picture. Near about to know about plug agriculture. Next, how the farmer harvest, how the farmer thresh, and how the farmers we know the land. Means first of all, we are going to start cover about sowing, how they sow their seeds in the agricultural land. Harvesting was performed with the sickle. Sickle, you have seen the sickle, and threshing by the using oxen. And oxen who walked round and round over the ears put on the threshing floor. Wind power was exploited in winnowing in order to separate the chaff from the grain. Means sowing the seeds inside the earth, means when the farmer is spreading the seeds on the earth, on the agricultural land, they're spreading the seeds, and when the seeds dissolve into the that particular land, then the crop will be started growing at that time. And then he was harvesting. When the time of harvesting, a lot of laborers were needed at that time. And after harvesting, means how they separate their chaff from the grain. Means the plant of the particular grain, and the seed of that particular grain, they started to at the time of harvesting, they started some things to separate a plant and to separate about the from the plant and the seed. When we are using seed and we are using at that particular seed at that time, this is known as harvesting, threshing, and winnowing. And these all three things were after sowing the seeds. Healthy. Next, when we sow the seed, then after that, some techniques we use in that particular land. What was the technique? Just to irrigate the land, which things they were using to irrigate the particular land. Because a farmer, if a farmer is sowing the seed into his land, his or her land, then he needs a lot of water also to irrigate their fields, and to give water to their fields, so that a plant should grow properly. The most and the simple technique was to draw water with the rope and bucket by using hands without any mechanical aid. Means, as you can see in the picture, that a king is taking water from that particular woman, and the woman was giving water to the particular king, and he was using rope. She was using rope, and she was using some kettle and some bucket to extract the water from the well. That is the very old thing, to extract the water from the wells, because there was no any particular technology to take out the water from that particular well. Means, the most and simple technique was to draw water with rope and bucket by using hands without any mechanical aid. Obviously, then the bucket was small in size, and that's why this operation would not have adequately served to water large fields. Means, this process is not sufficient to give water to the large fields, because with the help of hands and with the help of one bucket, two buckets, after every buckets, then this water is not sufficient to irrigate the fields, because the fields are so large. So how they use that water inside into the fields? This operation would not have adequately served to water large fields. But we cannot deny the use of rope bucket technique for irrigating small fields for crops, most probably vegetables that did not require much water. Means, if they are giving water to the particular field, means the small crops just like vegetables, just like fruits, and if they are giving water to that particular short fields, then this is sufficient, and this is a proper adequate method of irrigation, the of irrigating the field of that particular time. Otherwise, for the large fields, this thing is not adequate, and this thing is not proper for that particular fields. You can see in the picture, and now you will understand about the how they irrigate their vegetables and the plants of the vegetables and the fruits. The second method was the employment of pulleys. Employment of pulleys means the churkhi. Churkhi means how they round. Pulleys combined to the rope bucket contraption, which was once again activated manually. Means, at that time the people use the technology which they were using manually, not with the help of any irrigation, not with the help of any machinery, not with the help of any electricity, as we are using nowadays. Now, because at that time there was no electricity, there was no any mechanical power, no any machinery at that time. That's why they were using only rope and the bucket, and with the help of that bucket and the rope, they were using that water, they were extracting that water just with the help of buckets and with the help of some oxen also. And these things they were using at that time, these were very not very tough at that time, because they were doing a lot of labor work at that time. And nowadays we are not using any labor work in our homes also, and in our any other activities also. It was also used for domestic purpose. Means if we are using any cleaning, washing clothes, and the cleaning the surface, and washing all other things just like clothes and household things we were doing at that time. Manual labor we were using at that time, manual labor at that time. But these type of things were sufficient for the homes, houses, and for the to irrigate the small fields, to irrigate the crops, just like fruits and vegetables, small type of things they were using to irrigate with the devices. Next, we are using the third one, an improved method of the rope bucket pulley. Means they were using rope, they were using bucket, and they were using pulley. Means the particular round the made of iron thing, made of iron, that lock is connected to the rope and the bucket, that is known as pulley. Means the charkhi, na? Contraption where was the employment of a pair of oxen, a pair of oxen means two oxes, to replace human power. At this stage, it had become a specialized device for drawing water, intended specially for irrigation. In some areas of North India, it is still in operation, known as charsa. If you will see on the Google, then you will see the exact definition of charsa. Means I'm telling you, I'm explaining. They were using rope, bucket, and that pulley, means that jerky. With the contraption of these things, and they connected two bulls, two ox, okay, two oxen, to replace human power. Means only one person is sufficient to extract water from that particular well. When two bulls or two oxen, they stretch themselves beside the well, and with the help of rope and the bucket, they were using at that bull power, ox power, when they extract water, when they go outside from the well, and the water will come, automatically water will come, because the force was using with the help of the oxen, the water was coming from that well. And when water will come out from that well, the particular people or the particular person who was standing over there, only one person is sufficient for that purpose, only the one person is sufficient. That person will catch the water at that time, and they what he was doing at that time, he spread the water inside through the towards the field, where they like to give the water to the particular agricultural land, and to give water to any other reason also. In some areas of North India, it is still in operation, known as chars. Still, they are using to irrigate their fields this process. This process is also very important to irrigate the field. Next is Dhenkli. Next is Dhenkli. This process is also known as Dhenkli also. Now you can see the picture. Right side, which I have discussed you with the help of two oxen. Okay, one person uh, is helping to move the ox towards the and the opposite side of the well, and one person is there who is using their manpower, and with the help of the bucket he gave water to the particular field. Now you can see the water is going to the field area, to the agriculture area, towards agriculture area. Then this process is known as charsa. And now left side you can see the process of Dhenkli. Dhenkli, Now you can see the what is that particular thing. Mm, yes, this is the thing when they were using Dhinkli system, like the wood of the particular tree. What we can say that the stick of the particular tree that is connected to one side. One side is a very heavy thing which is connected to at the one end. Heavy thing is connected with the stick. Okay, at the other hand of the stick, the rope and the bucket is tied. Okay, there is I think there is no manpower is using at that time. Only one person is sufficient for that to extract the water from the well, because the well was very much depth, was in very much depth, and there is no technique, there is no technology to extract the water from that particular well. Okay, there was no any particular technique. So at that time they were using Dhinkli technique. They were using Dhinkli to extract the water from the well. One side heavy thing and one side rope. Two end of that particular stick na, two end, one end is connected with the heavy things. Okay, and one end is connected with the rope and the bucket. When the heavy thing, they give pressure on the particular heavy thing, then they then that that stick was extracting water from well with the help of bucket. And after that time when the water come out, at that time the person will spread the water towards any area where he or she want to give water. Then he or she will spread the water from that well. Then after that what he will do, same technique he was using at that time, and after same he was using the technique, and he was using that water towards wherever he want to use that. This process is known as Dhinkli. Okay, in some villages Dhinkli method was using at that time because there was no technique, there was no technology using at that. Dhinkli, Charsa, and what was that particular well area. Next is the fifth water lifting method is called Sakya. Sakya, or Persian wheel. Okay, with the help of the wheel, means which wheel? Because before the wheel we were using what we were using, that particular word, pulley. Okay, that pulley, you can see in this picture, pulley, the round thing which is used for the help for the rope to pull the water from the well. Yes, that is known as pulley. And at the time of replacement of the pulley, they were using wheel. This is known as Persian wheel. Okay, this water wheel could well claim to be called a water machine because of the employment of gear system. With gears, we enter upon a very advanced stage in technological sense. It has been surpassed only now by electric tube wells, because nowadays we are using Persian wheel, and with that wheel they were using at that this time electric tube wells. With the help of electricity, one rope was connected, because inside the well there is a machine, and machine is connected to the particular well, and how they extract water from the depth of the well with the help of that machinery. And the with help of this machinery they were using wheel also to extract water from the well, that is connected to Persian wheel. These five devices to raise water from wells described above can be put into two broad categories. Two broad categories means number one, intermittent, number two, continuous supply system. Intermittent or discontinuous water supply device. And the second is continuous supply system. Discontinuous supply system, continuous supply system. The first four belong to the former and the fifth to the latter category, because After so many years, the fifth category was introduced at that time, because at the time of ancient there was no machinery and there was no any technique at that time. They were not using any technique at that time, and they were using starting force system to extract water from the wells and to irrigate water from the wells. Fifth technique is very modern, is very technical. That's why they were using after so many years. The first four belong to the former and the fifth to the latter category, again depending the nature of operative source. That is human power and animal power. The first and the fourth fall in the human power category, and the others were driven by animal power. Because I have discussed, with the help of animals, they were extracting water with which animals? A pair of oxen. Okay, so that they will be very helpful with the help of that oxen. Then they extract water from the wells. These were water extracting techniques. Now we are going to start about new textile technology. Ginning, carding, and spinning. Textile technology, how they textile their technology. Means in textiles, the cotton preference, cotton plays a very important role at that time, and at the present time also, cotton play a very important role. Cotton cultivation belongs to agricultural technology. After picking up cotton balls, there were three basic stages before cotton could be used for weaving. Three techniques. Number one, ginning. Ginning means how they extract their seed. Number two, carding or fiber loosening. How they lose the fiber from that particular seeds. Number three, spinning, making yarn. How they make yarn with the help of that cotton. With the help of that cotton. Means that is also connected to a small wheel, a small log type of wheel that is connected to for making yarn. With the help of that particular wheel, they spread the cotton, and with the help of that cotton and connected to the wheel, they make yarn. Means they make thread. Okay, after making thread, they make a piece of cloth. That the first was done in two ways. First means ginning, means seed extraction in two ways, just like roller and broad method. Next is worm press or worm roller. Worm roller is connected to charkhi. Now you can see the weaving, how they weave their clothes. Means horizontal loom of throw shuttle type was used for simple or tabby weave. It is difficult to determine whether the pit loom was in use in ancient India. But we get the first evidence of this loom in Mufta ul Fuzala, illustrated in 1530. That is connected to the time of Akbar. Next picture is shown on the screen of 14.7 figure pit loom. 16th century Mughal painting connected to Kabir. How Kabir making loom with the help of that horizontal loom shuttle, flying shuttle loom. Next is dyeing and printing. How they dye their clothes, how they print their clothes, and after weaving, after spinning, after making yarn, after making clothes, how they dye and how they print their clothes. Next is building construction. And number one, lime mortar. With the help of the colors, with the help of the paint, how they paint their cloth, how they print some flower print or some any vegetation and some any nature print, they connected to the particular cloth. And after print, they connect with the dye. Dye means they color their cloth with any other color. Means when they make yarn and when they make cloth, that is connected only the base color, means the white. After making their white color, if they want to dye their cloth, then with the help of the paints, with the help of the colors, with the help of indigo and fruit colors, they give the color to their clothes. And after that, in building construction, they used lime mortar at that time. The traditional basic units of construction in ancient India consisted of clay, stones, wood, occasionally bricks. The simplest cementing material or mortar was plain earth mixed with water. Means the mud, the clay kind of mixed with water. An improved kind was straw. Straw means booze, added to a mixture of clay and water, which was used for plastering also. But lime mortar was definitely brought by the immigrant Muslims during the Delhi Sultanate. At that time, Delhi Sultanate. Now you can see arch they were introducing and dome they were using at that time for vaulted roofing. One result of lime mortar was the extensive use of bricks, as it made the brick building more durable. Another important consequence was that lime mortar paved the way for the construction of true arc. True arc means mihrab, okay, semicircle shape that you can see in the picture also. Actually, the very arrangement of bricks or stones in making a true arc demands a strong cementing material to hold the voussoirs together. Means how they hold the two sides, okay, on a simple arc. That is a new technique at that time, and that is also known as arc or dome shape. You can see in the picture. Next is paper making and book binding. After that, paper was first manufactured in China, as you all know, around the first century CE. It was made from bamboo pulp. The Muslim Arabs learned paper making from some Chinese who were taken prisoners in a battle in 751 CE. Very soon, the Arabs developed this craft by making paper from rags and old linen. During the Delhi Sultanate, paper was used for many purposes, especially for books, farmans, numerous commercial and administrative documents. Paper was available on a large scale so much so that sweet meat sellers of Delhi delivered sweets to buyers in paper packets called parya, which is still the practice in India. Parya. We can say the parcha of that particular thing. Next is military technology. How they use military technology to maintain their military. First of all, stirrup. It is now an established fact that iron stirrup means rakab was unknown in India at that time. Horseshoes have not been reported from any archaeological site excavated in India. Horseshoe. It is now an incontrovertible fact that horseshoes were foreign importations brought by the Turks when they came to India. The Arabic word for the shoe is nail. Next is gunpowder in firearms. You can see in the picture also gunpowder and firearms for the use of military purposes. Gunpowder consists of saltpeter, sulfur, charcoal, and it was first invented in China as with the help of as we have studied about paper and now gunpowder also. Saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal was invented in China. Later, it spread to the Islamic society because Islamic society, the immigrants, Turks, brought gunpowder to India perhaps in late 13th or early 14th century. But it must be pointed out that even by the reign of Sultan Firoz Shah Tughlaq, its only use was for pyrotechny or fireworks, means atashbaji, not for firearms or for propelling cannonballs. Firearms were used for the first time during second half of 15th century in some regions of India like Gujarat, Malwa, Deccan. At any rate, the use of firearms on a regular basis was introduced by Portuguese when Portuguese came to Calicut in 1498 at the time of Vasco da Gama, by Babur in North India in early 16th century. You can see the swords, you can see the flint lock which is connected to gun. Tin coating. Domestic utensils of copper, brass are prone to acid poisoning from food kept in them. A coating of tin is given to them frequently, especially inside, to protect them from the chemical action of acid food. This craft came to India along with tuts also. There is no reference to this technique in ancient India. Apart from literary sources, the archaeological evidence comes from an excavation site in the south near Kolhapur, where a copper container with tin coating both on its interior and exterior was discovered. Since this vessel was found in association with the coins of the Bahmani dynasty, Vijayanagar Bahmani dynasty at the time, 14th century. It must belong to that period also. Next is glass manufacture, how they manufacture the glass. With the arrival of Muslims, pharmaceutical spheres, jars, and vessels of glass came to India from the Islamic countries. But there is no evidence to show that Indians had started fabricating these objects in imitation. During 16th and 17th century, a variety of glass articles were brought to India by Europeans. All these were now for us. For example, looking glasses means mirror made of glass. We know how to make mirrors of metals, but not of glass. Another object was spectacles, which we are using on our eyes. Another aspect was spectacles made of glass lenses. The Europeans gave these things to Indians as gift, and sometimes they are sold them in market also. That's why the Indians started using European glass articles. Yes, next is shipbuilding. Prior to the European advent, the planks of ships and boats were joined together. Ships and boats joined together by stitching or sewing them with ropes made of coir or sometimes with wooden nails. The Europeans were using iron nails and clamps which made their vessels stronger and durable. Nails and clamps. The Indians lost no time in adopting the new technique. Whenever they came to know that somebody is giving us a new technique and is showing us a new technique, they adopt very fast the new technique. Now you can see in the picture, in figure 14.11, riveting and the use of iron nails. You can see the stamp of the iron nails to join the planks. How they join plank? With the use of iron nails. They are making boat. Next is distillation. There has never been any society that did not produce intoxicating drinking substances. Any society. Soma in Vedic age was one such intoxicants. There are two ways to get wine: fermentation and distillation. The first was widely known in the world, means fermentation. Wine was procured by fermenting rice, sugarcane juice, mahua flowers, etc. And distillation was a late comer, something that if it was first discovered in Italy in 12th century CE, now for India, there is an opinion that distillation was a contribution of the Turks. Because about Soma, we have heard about the Soma in our Vedic age also, in our Vedas also. But what about distillation? We have not heard about this. And this process is given by the Turks to India. There has never been any society that did not produce intoxicating drinking substances. Soma in Vedic age was one such intoxicant. There are two ways to get wine: distillation and the fermentation. We have studied. This is, I think, repeated stringent. Next is metallurgy, means related to metal, how they produce metal technologies and how they were using metal technology. You can see in the picture, this is a picture how the process of metal, means smelting, charcoal furnaces, bellows, means we have taken this picture from Aine Akbari. Aine Akbari is the chronicle of uh, at the time of Akbar, chronicle at the time of Akbar, which was written by Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl has given the depth description about the administrative system and about the commercial system of that particular time of Akbar. Next is printing press. Printing press. How they print their pictures, their motifs on that particular thing, how they print themselves. Miscellaneous technologies. Printing press, have you heard about this? Printing press? Printing press is a press where some particular ruler or some particular important person has exempted their things for print, has given his or her things for print, so that everybody can see the importance of that particular person. Just like at the time of Britishers, Europeans had introduced some printing press to give some important news about the Europeans to the particular Indians. That is, with the help of this printing press, we can spread our messages towards very few people and to a lot of people also. Next is miscellaneous technologies. Oxen drawn carts were in common use at that time, especially for transporting commercial things also. Horse drawn carriages were very rare. Horse drawn carriages means donkey back, as we can give the example of donkey back, very short, very rare. They were meant only for passengers. Horse were using only for passengers, not for carrying goods for transport or commercial activities. Another chemical discovery was the use of saltpetre for cooling water. They were using saltpetre for cooling water at that time. Emperor Akbar is reported to have intervened an oxen drawn cart, which, when used for traveling or uh, for carrying loads, could grind corn also. For the latter purpose, however, watermill was scarcely used in India under the Mughal rule. Watermill was scarcely used in India under the Mughal rule. Next is we are going to, yes, we have studied a lot of things in our unit 14, the very important things we have discussed about. And in our next unit 15, we are going to discuss about the towns, cities, and the growth of urban centers. How the growth of urban centers are described at that time. First of all, we are going to cover approaches to study the medieval time. Medieval towns, how they approach. For the emergence of new towns in medieval India, several explanations have been put forward. The causative factors inherent in these explanations postulate the emergence of mainly four types of urban centers. Four types of urban centers. Number one, administrative centers. Number two, religious centers. Number three, military centers. And number four, market centers. As with the help of you have taken the name on that particular 14 things, means administrative. In administrative cities, the rulers were connected and the nobles were connected, and the wealthier people, just like aristocrats, just like nobles, they were connected to that particular administrative towns. And what about religious towns? And in religious towns, just like priests, just like saints, just like religious scholars. They were connected with religious towns. Next is military towns, and in military towns, only military and the commander of that particular military that is connected to that military towns. And what about market? Market system or market area means all type of people connected to market, because market is the place where all people had satisfied their necessities, had satisfied their all basic needs or the luxurious need, any need they will be satisfied with the help of markets. That's why these four cities they have taken the names in that. Next is growth of towns during 13th to 15th centuries, means at the time of Delhi Sultanates. Factors for urban expansion, how they expand their urban areas into different areas. The ruling class, coming from a different cultural milieu, had needs of leisure and comforts of a different type. They wanted songs in Persian, dances in different style, boots, silk to wear, acute light architecture out of resources that were indeed enormous by contemporary standards as it commanded. The new rulers naturally, when the ruling class coming from a different cultural milieu, had needs of leisure and comforts of different type. Comforts of the different type, just like they wanted songs in Persian, dances of a different style, books, silk to wear, means they all things they were using for their luxuries, for their comforts, and for their to show themselves in front of all, means of their taste. Just like they, if some ruler is looking for dance, then they use that particular area for the dance. They use their particular area for the dance system, means some other cultural dance they were using, just like at the time of Turk invade in India, then they use to show their comforts, and they need a lot of luxurious things in their time period. That's why, and we are talking about the ruling class, the emperor class, and the wealthier class we are talking about. Next is urban manufacturers during the Sultanate period. How they manufacture urbanities. First, the Sultanate ruling class remained town centered and spent the enormous resources it appropriated in the form of land revenue, mainly in towns, either on buying services or procuring manufacturers. First of all, the Delhi Sultanate ruling class remained town centered, means ruling class remained town centered because they, if they want anything, then town is connected to that particular area, and they spend the enormous resources, and when it is appropriated in the form of land revenue, mainly in towns, either on buying services, procuring manufacturers. Even the money spent on the service sector partly went to help the urban craft sector through multiplier effect. While the nobility created demand for high-priced, skill-intensive luxury items, its hangers on it all likelihood created a mass market for ordinary artisanal product. The second factor that contributed to urban manufactures was the introduction of a large number of technological devices. Technological devices that reached India with invaders. You have learned about them in detail in Unit 14, then how the Turkish invade India and how they give the important things to India. In the luxury sector, silk weaving expanded and carpet weaving came from Persia. The other notable urban manufacture was paper making, connected to Chinese, and after Chinese, they make India in India also. Perhaps a major sector of urban employment was building industry, and the Ziauddin Barni says that Alauddin Khalji employed 70,000 craft person with his buildings, for his buildings. Next is organization of production. How they organize their production. Urban landscape under the Mughals. Urban landscape under the Mughals. Now we are going to cover about Mughals. First of all, physical configuration. Physical configuration. Most of the towns had some sort of a fortification wall. That is very important for the Mughals. That is very important. That was very important for Delhi Sultanate also. Most of the towns, important towns, had some sort of fortification wall with one or more gates. The main population of the city lived within these walls. With the expansion of towns at that time, the cities outgrow their walls. The example of a typical Mughal town can be found in the description of Agra by John Jordan at the beginning of 17th century. The city is 12 courses long by riverside, which is above 16 miles, and at the narrowest place, it is 3 miles broad. It is walled, but the suburbs are joined through the walls. That were, if not for the gates, you could not know when you were within the walls or without. Generally, the nobles or princes would build their mansions or gardens outside the gates of town. That's why in many cities like Delhi, Agra, Patna, Ahmedabad, Allahabad, these settlements developed as suburbs. The residential areas of towns called mohallas were often identified by professional groups they resided there. Another important feature of the town was the presence of sarais, which were halting places for merchants or travelers. If the travelers were going through that particular path, then they were using the sarais at that time for rest, for taking some water, for resting themselves. Next is composition of population, means how the composition of population in urban classes. The urban population was not a homogeneous one. In our sources, we come across various categories of people residing in towns. These can be classified into four broad groups. Number one, nobles, they are retainers, officials of state, and the troops. Number two, persons engaged in mercantile activities, just like merchants, sarafs, brokers, etc. Number three, people involved with religious establishments, musicians, painters, poets, physicians, etc. And number four, artisans, menials and workmen of sundry sports, sundry sorts. The people working as artisans in various crafts may be divided in many groups. Number one, individual artisans working at their own places and selling their wares. Artisans working in the karkhanas of the kings and nobles, and in large scale building construction undertaken by the kings and their nobles. Number three, there was a large workforce of semi skilled and unskilled workmen who would assist artisans or work in such large scale enterprising or shipbuilding, diamond mining, saltpetre, and salt making. Number four, a large number of workmen who were employed as domestic help and daily wage laborers, means slaves, means maids, means serfs also. Next is urban demography. How they have given the demography of urban areas. The Tabakat-e Akbari, that is also very important chronicle. Tabakat-e Akbari. Tabakat-e Akbari says that during Akbar's period there were around 120 big cities, 3200 kasbahs, and in 17th century, increasing trade, commerce, this number would have grown further. Okay, and next, Irfan Habib estimate that around 15% of the total population in Mughal India lived in towns. Yes, this you can see in this figure, the towns and the year of estimate and how the population was increasing at that time. Agra, Delhi, Lahore, Ahmedabad, Surat, Patna, Deccan. Figures has been given on the screen. Now you can see. Next is urban life standard of living. And standard of living in medieval city shows striking contrast. While the upper strata led a lifestyle akin in royalty, the urban poor found it difficult to achieve the bare subsistence level. Means the royal families were facing a lot of good things. And what about the lower category people? The lower category people were they were living a very hard life, and they were facing very harsh conditions, and they were giving tax also. And mm, with the help of these things, the royal family, the royal people were facing very good things. They were living a royal life. And what about the poor people? And the poor people were not able to achieve three times food of a day. That is very tough for all of them. The condition of the poor people was very much miserable at that time. He comments. Who comments? Who is the writer of that? Lynch Shorten. Similar observation was made by D. Led as well. Means the European scholars had observed some difficult things in front of them. He comments that the condition of the common people in those regions is exceedingly miserable. Wages are low. Workmen get one regular meal on a day, only one regular meal on a day. The houses were wretched and practically unfurnished, and people have not sufficient covering to keep warm in winter themselves. Very tough life they were using at that time. Next, head of expenditure. And next point is imperial household and noble. Yes, where they expand their money, where they expand their money. You can see on the left side, a very left side, firstly, harem, where the people, harem means the building in which the queens of the Mughals were living at that time. Kitchen, wardrobe, building, encampment materials, utensils, trappings of animals, books, paintings, ornaments, gems, hunting animals, pets, miscellaneous, cash grants, food retainers, and arsenal and armors, beast of burden, display animals. Means how much, and imperial household they were using at that time. Nobles in percent. Means in this graph, in this figure, I, Mughals, in at the time of Mughals, the scholars wanted to show that how they living their life, and what was the difference between upper class and the lower class. You can see in this on this page also, then how the standard of living, how what was the difference between the how the difference was exist at the time of Mughals standard of living, upper class and lower class. And two, I think two who the two writers have written a lot of things about the condition of the poor people. Very miserable life they were using, they were facing. And what about the royal families? They were facing a lot of good things, just like mm, in urban areas they were living, and whatever they want for living their luxurious life they were having at that time, they gain at that time. And what about the lower class in the lower strata? Not the three times meal they were gaining, only one time meal they were gaining at that time. That is a very miserable condition of the poor people. Very bad condition of the poor people at that time. They were facing a lot of disturbances in their life. Their houses were not that much warm to warm themselves in the winters. Their houses were ratched. means they were not the big houses, and they were not the well furnished, and they were not sufficient to live over there. That is a big difference between them. In this unit 14 and 15, 14 and 15, we have covered a lot of things. We have covered urban areas, how they expand their urbans. We have covered sectors of urban expansion. We have covered in Unit 15, in 14 also, how they established their shipbuilding, how they established their manufacturing, how they established their tin coating, textiles, gunpowder, arms, firearms, military organization, military technology, paper making, book binding, how they done these with the help of these arc and dome, means they were using a very modern techniques. They were using very modern techniques with the invasion of Turks and with the invasion of Mughals at that time. Okay, with the help of these things, they were yes, with the help of these things they were using that time. And in our next unit 16 and unit 17, we are going to cover Bhakti Sufi movement. Bhakti Sufi movement we will cover in this, in our next unit, unit uh, 16 and unit 17. We will cover in our next class. Bhakti movement, Sufi movement. In Bhakti movement, Guru Nanak Dev, Kabir Das, Mirabai, and in Sufi movement, silsilas we will discover. We will discuss about silsilas, just like Moinuddin Chishti and the Ajmer Sharif Dargah. We will discuss in our next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.